Hello everybody and welcome to Haus. I'm Rob, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new resources that were just added in patch 1.2.0. In case you missed it, there were 10 new resources added. There were some other changes that were made. I'll refer to those a little bit in this video, but I wanted to take a couple minutes and just kind of go over what I'm seeing with these, why I think they were added, and why I think that they are ultimately going to be important. But before I dive into that, I'm going to ask that you guys like and subscribe. A lot of you are coming back, and we really appreciate it. We would love for you to be a permanent part of our community, and liking these videos definitely helps that, and subscribing really helps that, as we are making our way to 1,000 subs here. That is our new goal, and like I said, we've got some fun stuff planned for once we get to 1,000, so hopefully we will be reaching that here very soon. But let's just jump into it here. Like I said, there were 10 new resources added. I'm going to go each one. I'm going to kind of just give my thoughts on them. You guys can let me know what you think about them in the comment section below. I understand that resources are really kind of like almost a background part of the game, especially I feel like in this game at different points, but they are obviously important as well for legacy path, victories, and especially with the economics side of things, right? So they are very important in a sense. They just feel a little different than they did in past civs. I think that that can be a very good thing, and I think so far it's been interesting to say the least. I have enjoyed it, but yeah, I'll stop wasting time. We're just going to hop into each one here. We're going to start with clay. That is the top one here. And they didn't really put out like the stats in any of their announcements or anything. I just was like, where can I find this most easily? And I was like, oh, I'll just go to the Civilopedia. Of course, that's how I'm going to do it. And this one gives you +1 production on warehouse buildings. And I will be honest with you, I think that this is really, really, really helpful, mainly just because it's going to make warehouse buildings just even better, right? Like, they're already pretty important, at least in my opinion, and I think everybody else's, right? And the fact that you're getting just that free, essentially, +1 production on all of your warehouse buildings is definitely something that can, create some insane yields, and is going to be giving you a ton of great production, so that you're going to be able to start, I guess, making different units, buildings, wonders even, I think in a pretty serious fashion. And I think this is especially going to be great for some of the wider cities, some of the taller, I guess taller builds that people like. Getting all those warehouse bonuses it's just a really nice little thing that I think that they've added, and I appreciate that clay has been added to the game. But let's continue on here. We're going to go to Flax, I believe is the next one. And this one's really funny because it kind of looks like Ada Lovelace already, just like in terms of like the coloring and everything. I know it's slightly different, obviously, but I believe she does maybe have a flower in her hair. I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but the +2 science and the +2 culture, all of these are unique for the most part, by the way. Like in terms of what they are giving you in yields, or in different, I guess, yields really for the most part. But the +2 science and culture, I think is really, really solid, honestly. And if you can find a couple of them for your empire, it's really going to help, I think, especially for maybe some of those players who are going for more expansionist, for more militaristic, more economic as well, right? To help you keep up at least a little bit, right? The yields on this aren't going to be insane overall, but it is a nice little boost. And then, for people who are going down that science or that cultural path, this is like made for you. I think this is a really, really, really solid resource, and one that's going to be definitely worth fighting over, especially if you are in a multiplayer game. But let's continue our way down here to Hardwood. Yes, all the jokes are going to be out there for this one, but it is an interesting thing because I was a little surprised that they added this kind of in the way that they did, right? I would have thought maybe it would just be like, wood instead of hardwood specifically, but it makes sense based on kind of how they're using this. It's plus 20% production towards naval units, and I don't know. Maybe they're saving wood for a future update, or maybe they're going to use different, wording for different resources moving forward. But it is nice that you're going to have that, insane, really, bonus production towards naval units. It's going to be really, really strong. So, naval empires, I think especially, during the exploration age, this is going to be another resource that's really worth fighting over, that's really worth you trying to get towards as soon as possible, especially if you're trying to build that sort of naval empire, as many people really are in exploration. And I just can kind of see this being, I don't know, problematic maybe. They may need to nerf this. It's really going to depend. They are trying to make, I think, sea battle, naval, units in general a lot better. And I think that this is a, really good way to do it. If you can get this, or get a couple of them, right, going throughout your empire, then I think you're going to be in a really good spot. The next one that is on here is Limestone. That's right, it's Limestone. So Limestone, I think, is awesome. We have, I don't know, if you can get it early, I would say, then this is going to be very, very helpful for especially you cultural players in antiquity specifically, right? If you're trying to get all these different wonders, this baseline 5% production, I think is really important, because while we do already have, ivory and marble, those are very specific, right? They are used for, more specific types of wonders and where you can build them and everything. This was just a flat bonus, and I think that that's really nice. I'm a little surprised that they decided to do this already, but it feels like a nice little boost, and it feels like, it's gonna make, focusing on wonders a lot stronger. There are some certain civs and certain leaders that are going to really like this resource, and it's going to be one that I think you're definitely going to want to focus on. The next one is right under it, and it's llamas. Let's go. We got llamas in the game, and, it's maybe going to be more than a meme. I don't know. You can even see the freaking teeth here, which I think is so funny that they decided, to add that little addition. They didn't have to, and I love that they did. But I love that they were like, you know what, we're going to put something in here that's going to make people happy. You get that happiness bonus, but you're also getting the, the +1 production, which can be obviously very useful in and of itself. But that +3 happiness, really, what else are llamas there for other than to make us laugh, make us happy? I joke. I know the Incan Empire and, where they are, obviously, naturally found, they are used and have been used, I think, very intentionally for, the way that they were able to carry things, right, and the way that they were able to handle the mountains and everything else. So just a really cool resource for them to add to the game. And I'm really interested to see, how well it's going to work in this. I am recording this, by the way, before I've had a chance to play on the actual patch. It has just come out, so I do apologize for that. Maybe I'll have some differing opinions on how good these are going to be, but like, in all honesty, I think all of these are filling a need. Llamas maybe fill a need a little less than other ones. I think there are some good happiness bonuses. Like, they even updated dyes to give them +4 happiness instead of +3. So I remember seeing plenty of dyes, but it does fill a nice little need there, and I like it. That little production, that little happiness. I think Ashoka players, excuse me, are very happy if they can find themselves some llamas. But we continue on. We're 3 in a row here in terms of the Civilopedia. We got mangoes. This one is really interesting because this is the first one on a long list of ones that are going to be added here, where you are getting that food and that culture bonus. And I think food specifically, you're not getting the culture as much. Like, they have some good additions for culture. Feels like culture also got a small boost based on a lot of these resources, but food is the one that is getting a ton of focus. You can tell they are really, this whole update is about scaling food, making it a much stronger resource, and adding mangoes, I think, really helps. You're getting that innate culture, which is great, but you're also getting that food. This feels like it's, again, fitting a need that I feel like was necessary, and it's making food obviously the most predominant way to get resources right now. So I love this. I think it's a really nice addition. But we will continue on as we go to rice, the other one that's very important food base wise. Plus 5% food in all of your settlements. Oh boy, all of those civs, all of those leaders that are food focused are gonna be fighting over rice. This is gonna be one that you want. That 5% bonus scales so incredibly well. What an awesome resource for them to, you know, just give us straight up. I know it's gonna be one that I'm gonna be looking for. It makes sense, you know, in terms of a historical, you know, way as well. I think if they have overtuned food, I will say, like moving forward, future-wise, I think that this is going to be one of the resources that they might nerf in the future. That 5% bonus is just really, really, really strong. It you know, fits obviously perfectly with what they are doing, you know, in terms of the additions and the buffs to food as a whole. But this is really freaking strong. I would not be surprised to see this get nerfed at some point, but I'm very happy about it personally. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to find some rice in the game. I wouldn't have thought that I'd be so excited to find rice in a video game, but here we are. You know, that's how it goes sometimes. So we continue on here. I want to make sure I'm just not missing anything. We go straight into rubies, another one, and I am shocked by this. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'm playing through the game. You know, naturally, you don't necessarily think about resources all the time, in the sense of just, I don't know how they all relate to each other sometimes. Maybe you do. Maybe you're one of those min-maxers. I am not always one of those players. Sometimes I am, but not often, I will say. But I didn't realize there were no other resources that gave you just a flat gold bonus. This one's +4. I think that this is really, really strong. And not just this, but like the fact that it's also going to be a treasure resource. You know, now they changed everything up with the hemispheres and everything, so we'll have to see kind of how that's going to play in your games, but it feels like rubies are really strong. You're getting those treasure fleets if they are on, you know, distant lands, but even if they're not, you're still getting that +4 bonus straight up, and I think that that's really strong. If you can get a couple of these going in your empire, even if you're not, you know, necessarily an economic focused, you know, leader, civ, playthrough, however you're playing it, these are still going to be really good. I mean, this is especially a great resource if you can get it early in a game, right? That +4 bonus is going to be very helpful. Also, the fact that it's a flat bonus, you know, just depending on, you know, your gameplay, right? Like, I think all of these with resources, it's been interesting to me to see how they've kind of not even scaled these necessarily for the types of games that you are playing, in terms of like speed of games, so you know, standard, marathon, all that stuff. So this feels like a really, really strong resource, and definitely one that I think will probably stay here, but I could see it maybe even going down to like +2 or 3 in the future, but I could end up being wrong on that one as well. So we will have to see. I think we still have a couple more here. Yeah, we've got 2 more. We've got 10 in wild games. I'm gonna make sure, let me look at my list here. I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss any. I did not. Okay, so yeah, we've got 2 more. We are on to 10, and 10 is a big deal because it's taking the place of fishes as a factory resource, which is going to be obviously important. You needed that. They really buffed fish in a very interesting way, but because they took it away as a factory resource, they had to add something in. And you would have thought the tin would, you know, maybe give you more for like food, but you know, the plus production is an interesting choice, but I think a good one here. You get the +2 production in cities and then the +4 in towns. I can see tin being very useful for Great Britain players. You know, rise up. Let me know what you guys think about that one. But I do think that tin is going to be really strong later in the game. You want production, especially if you're going for that factory, you know, play style, for that legacy path, for that victory condition in the modern age. I really love this for tin. I think it is. I love this for tin. I love this for us as players. I think tin is going to be a really interesting resource for us to have. The last one here is going to be wild game, and this one was confusing to me. If you guys watched our previous videos, I was talking about how I was a little confused how they're going to do this. I did read this one very specifically. They are like, wild game is everything in this right now. So it's antelopes and deers, moose, gazelles, like I was saying, you know, wild cattle, birds, rabbits, pretty much anything that is not in the game as a separate thing, you know, is going to be under wild game, and it's going to be huge for food as well. You know, this is another one that they've added for food, which is, you know, interesting. You got mangoes, rice, and wild game. So 3 food resources of the 10 that were added. I believe that that's the biggest amount in terms of, you know, because like gold, we only got 1. I think a couple culture, some happiness, a couple production. Production might be up there as well. We already know production's a super strong resource, one of the biggest ones, obviously, in the game, always has been. But this one's interesting, again, for players who have a lot of towns. Yeah, this is going to be really good for, you know, wider empires, for sure. You know, you can still build tall and this still be useful. You're getting those flat bonuses. But it almost encourages you, if you can get a couple of these, to maybe keep some of your towns. Maybe you don't convert them to cities if you get a lot of them. I know that that's the new meta right now. A lot of people I've seen talking about it. I still really like towns, but I can see obviously the argument for, you know, moving them to be with cities. I'll have to see how everything kind of plays on this new patch. But I am really intrigued by this edition and all of them, really. As a reminder, there are a couple of these that are not going to be available in the, let me see if I can find it real quick. I had it up here. Okay, I got rid of it on my list on the side here, but a couple of these are not going to be able to be found, you know, once you get to the modern age, which is really interesting. I'm still a little surprised that they ended up kind of changing that, but not entirely. I mean, it just feels like some of these probably could still fit there, but either way, I really think that these are much bigger additions than maybe people are going to be talking about. I think that they are going to really affect certain games and certain playstyles and really, you know, help with yields for a lot of you yield heads, as I may called you. Have I called you that in the past? I know I've said that to Connor, but yield heads. You know, those of you who are really trying to min-max, just get as many yields as you can. You know, resources are obviously a good portion of that. They're not as obviously important as like buildings and everything else, but hey, they can be helpful, and I really like these resources. I'm going to be interested to see kind of how they're all going to play within the game. I'm hopeful that they're going to continue to add more and more resources. I haven't gone back and looked to see, you know, how many resources were in Civ 5 or Civ 6, but I'm hopeful that, you know, these are going to be, you know, useful in the game. So let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm overblowing these. Maybe, you know, you just watched a video on me, you know, I don't know, talking about these resources in a way that maybe you just didn't care about, but I found it to be interesting and thought it was worth discussing. So, like I said, let me know what you guys think, but that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join us for one more turn.